Hello there, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast, the Riverside Roundup. Join me, Mr. Williams, as we talk football. Well, Paul talks football. I just listen intently. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe. It's the cool thing to do. It's what all the cool kids are doing. And if you're listening to us, then you can subscribe on iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts from. Subscribing is a big help to us, and ultimately a big help to you further down the line so that we can keep bringing amazing content. For this episode, I'm putting out a plea at the end of the episode for you, the listener, stroke viewer, to help the podcast out. So listen all the way up till the end, and then give us a shout. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Riverside Roundup. Hopefully, no technical issues. It's that time of the week, ladies and gentlemen. For hardcore podcast watchers, probably getting a little tired of seeing our faces right now. For hardcore podcast listeners, probably getting tired of hearing our voices right now. For listeners, apparently you missed the title. It's the football podcast, and I'm here. Mr. Williams is going to give us the brand new intro to the brand new podcast. Visually, the intro is just the back of Paul's phone.
So there's method in the madness. What I was thinking is that I should probably change the start of the viewing pleasure to this being the intro sort of like page, and I just sort of appear from behind it as if to sort of give the illusion that that's what sparks the podcast into force. So obviously it's if it was purely retro, it would be Middlesbrough circa 97-98 season podcast.
Freaking
but as it's not, we'll just go with the fact that it's the Riverside Roundup.
It is
coming at you in your ear and eye holes. Definitely not your mouth hole though, because unless you're wildly spitting some venom at the incoherent ramblings of this madman, which, let's be honest, could be very possible. So,
well, we like to form a coherent opinion, and it's podcast o'clock, isn't it? So it's very cut and dry format. It's very, very simple. We start and we go into it, and we go with a segment that we like to call This Week in Football, but actual fact, kind of talking about like the last week of football.
It's sort of the current week in football.
It's this week. Let's say something happened on Monday. Some hirings and firings on a Monday. Absolutely this week. It's only Thursday today, isn't it? It's usually Wednesday. Today's Thursday. We've had a busy schedule. We're all podcast tuckered out. We need a little need a little nana nap. So, what's been going down in the round ball world?
So, obviously the big news isn't in the Championship. It's obviously in the Premier League, where there has been a managerial change, and it would appear that even being a club legend and a team's top ever Premier League goal scorer counts for nothing these days. And so Frank Lampard is no longer the Chelsea manager.
No way. Wow.
How terrible. And obviously, if he's listening to this is the point of the podcast where Matt Moore is just sat there just thinking, well, yeah, of course he did. Of course he's that. Because he's not a very good manager. I believe he said something along the lines of in a little group that me and Stuart got going on, where he said something along the lines of, who knew that a manager with only like 2 or 3 seasons worth of experience and the ability to sign loan players from top clubs wouldn't be able to get the job done on a regulation basis at a top club. So, shots fired. Frankie Lamps out of a job.
Doggone.
Outside of that, I suppose it's just a few comings and goings on the transfer front. Arsenal have signed on loan a kid who was once picked up as like the new wunderkind. Martin Odegaard has signed for Arsenal on loan until the end of the season. So he is, I believe, a Danish, maybe 20-year-old, I think now. He was basically, the reason is he was signed by Real Madrid when he was 15, maybe.
Wow.
And everyone was absolutely losing their shit over him, basically. Martin Odegaard. Odegaard was signed by Real Madrid in January 2015, which at the time would have made him 17. Yeah. No. Yeah, 17. No. 16. Oh god, my maths is terrible.
It's good you don't ever need
I don't know. And I can't even tell anymore. But either way, it was signed when he was really young. And there was this hope that he was going to go on and be the new, but the next big thing and stuff like that. And he's not really sort of hit those heights, to be honest with you. He's had loan spells here and there. He's been at Heerenveen and Vitesse Arnhem in Holland, and he's had a spell at Real Sociedad in Spain. He did okay at Sociedad. I think he was doing quite well there. Then he got recalled by Madrid and just hasn't played standard. So he's now gone on loan to Arsenal for the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens if he manages to break into the first team there. We'll see. Outside of that, there has been a few. I say a few. Middlesbrough have dipped into the transfer market earlier today, really? And this is one that's been on the cards for quite a while now. But they have brought in winger Yannick Bolasie on loan from Crystal Palace. No, not Crystal Palace. He's not at Crystal Palace. He's at Everton. Apologies. So they brought in Yannick Bolasie on loan from Everton until the end of the season. So that is definitely a position they needed to strengthen in. So you'd argue that he will bring some creativity to the team, which is a situation they've been sadly lacking in for the last couple of games, as I'm sure we'll come to discuss later on in the recording.
Yeah.
Yannick Bolasie in, and at last talk on musings in the Twitter sphere, I believe, let me find it. Apparently they've had a bid of £300,000 accepted by Preston for right back Darnell Fisher. Now, I'll need to check this, but I think Darnell Fisher may have been the kid who earlier in the season caused a bit of consternation.
Constipation?
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's the same guy. So, Daniel Fisher, right back from Preston, he caused a little bit of... He got himself in a bit of trouble because basically, earlier in the season in the game against Sheffield Wednesday, he grabbed an opponent's genitals.
I mean, yeah, maybe not.
Didn't even try and hide it. Just was in plain view of the ref. Just basically grabbed the opponent's penis and just gave it a little squeeze. I mean, it's bad enough that you sort of grab another player, but at the end of in basic sort of human rights, he's sexually assaulted him basically. So I mean, it's not exactly ideal, but he was charged, and he did receive a 3-game ban. There we go. So not ideal that he's got previous as a willy whacker, but obviously there's a player in there somewhere, and obviously Neil Warnock's seen something that he likes. We're a bit short in the right back areas. We've only really got Anthony Dykesfield, who's an out and out right back. At the moment, we've got Jed Spence, who's more of a right wing back, but has played at right back at some points this season. So it's a position that they definitely need to strengthen and bring someone in for competition for places. So, and at £300,000, that's barely anything in today's transfer market. So we'll see if that one goes through by the time of next week's podcast. But it's looking promising. And if he signed by tomorrow, there's a chance that he could be involved in the next game against Norwich, which we will come on to momentarily.
Indeedy doody. Are they working on the principle that if they've got this guy in, that that area is secure because no other players are going to? They'll be running down with the ball. They'll be like, actually, you know what? I'm good. In fact, I'm gonna pass it. I think we should do a lot of attacking on the left. If we can just focus everything over there. No, maybe.
Well, I'll just put that there and see if anyone can read it.
The bants on that is brilliant.
So for the people listening to the podcast rather than watching, Blackburn star Lewis Holtby jokingly covers himself when walking past Darnell Fisher after FA charge for grabbing opponent's genitals. So, bants, I suppose, would be what you go.
And it's just that thing, isn't it? Because let's face it, that's his identity now.
He's the gonad grabber.
That's who he's going to be from now until not even to the end of his career. It's going to be from now until if somebody sees him walking down the street in 30 years' time, they'll be like, "Hey, do you know what? He played for Middlesbrough and he was a great player." But do you know what's more interesting? Anything else that's been super pressing in the last week?
There is something, but it's directly involved and related to one of the Borough games we need to talk about. So we'll cover it now, basically.
Right then, I'm getting the book. I'm getting the pen. That one click signifies the start of the book filling in. I've had to be reprimanded, unfortunately, for poor book filling in. Points deducted this week. And that's to say that I have points to deduct, but we'll get to that real soon. There's going to be a lot of page turning here, ladies and gents, because apparently I can't write games in the right place. And as I'm sure at this point you can tell, I am absolutely mortified. But what I do know is the first game might have been Middlesbrough versus Blackburn Rovers. Confirmation from Mr. Williams. Fantastic. Now then, I don't know how to broach this subject, so I think probably just need to come out and say it. What's going on with the borough? Because I had an amazing format for so long. It was put the borough down to win by either a little or a bit more. And that's basically served me quite well up until recently. So, not only anybody who's got a good memory and can remember 8 days ago will know that in this instance, not only did me and Paul pick the same score, we picked the same goal scorers, and we picked them in different orders, but exactly the same score with exactly the same goal scorers, and we said that would be the tie. That's how we would decide the tie. What was the score in this game, Mr. Williams?
Sadly, Andrew, this would fall in the disappointment category of Middlesbrough 0, Blackburn Rovers 1.
What did we think it was going to be?
2-0?
Now then, any long-time listener, if it's a first-time listener, let me tell you, the way we do the system is, if you get the score right, 2 points. If you get a goal score right, it's a point. If you get the score wrong and no goal scorers, 0 points, isn't it? 0 points across the board. Let's move on swiftly. So, here's where things get a little bit sketchy, because I think, Mr. Williams will correct me if I'm wrong, I think the next game we predicted was Brentford versus Leicester. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but what I will say is this. There is a little bit of a pattern in the predictions this week. So, I'll leave it there for now. Now then, we predicted Brentford-Leicester. We both predicted them very differently to each other. As in, I absolutely had Brentford down to win this one. Mr. Williams had more faith in Leicester. So, what was the score in this game, Mr. Williams?
Obviously, this was the FA Cup tie.
Indeed it was.
So FA Cup 4th round, so the reason we picked it was because Middlesbrough were knocked out of the FA Cup by Brentford. So therefore, we follow Brentford through into the next round, and then we will follow the winner of the tie into the 5th round. So the score was Brentford 1, Leicester City 3.
So, as we know at this point in time, I'm straight out of the running because I didn't have Leicester to win. The only way that I could possibly bring it back is if I got one of the goal scorers, or two of the goal scorers, or some of the goal scorers. Didn't even do that, did I? Because I had to change my pick because the person I picked wasn't even playing. Great start. And of all the goal scorers I picked, none of them scored. But enough about me. Just remind me of that score. 1.
Brentford 1.
Mm-hmm.
Leicester City 3.
It's interesting that, because that's the exact score that you predicted. That might be important later. Now then, do you know the goal scorers?
So for Brentford, the goal scorer was Mads Beck Sorensen.
It was.
For Leicester, we had a goal by Cengiz Under, Yuri Tielemans, And James Maddison.
I mean, when James Maddison scored, it was like, who's this guy? Who's this guy with his, normal name? I've listened to podcasts recently where they talk about the absolute insanity that is the name of NFL football players. I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking we can find some other ones that might be interesting. So, as we've discussed, that is 2 big, juicy points for Mr. Williams for a correct score. Correctly predicting a Brentford score. Turn the page back, because I can't fill the book in properly. Like a mag. Now then. We're back to Middlesbrough football. Middlesbrough versus Rotherham United. As I've previously mentioned, I work on a system of give Middlesbrough the win and either give them a little bit or a lot. That's basically the system. It's worked real well up till now. Some of us decided that this was the game that Middlesbrough were going to not only bring it back, they were going to absolutely smash the snot out of Rotherham United. What was the score in this game?
This is the game they were going to open out the gauge, go full ball, get a couple of goals, spank them, show me who was boss. So of course it ended up Middlesbrough 0, Rotherham 3.
I personally think that is a insult to you. When you were like, it's 4-0 all over this bad boy. Neither you or I predicted anybody to score for Rotherham United, so don't need to look at that. And as anybody that follows along with Scorecast Bingo will realise, two big fat bagels right there. Back over the page brings us to Swansea City versus... I mean, let's face it, it's podcast favourite at this point in time. Every week that goes past, it's can we find a way to get a Brentford game into the predictions? Yes, we can. So, Swansea City versus Brentford. I had faith in Brentford. You on the fence. What was the score in this game?
The score in this game was Swansea City 1, Brentford 1.
It's interesting that, because that's exactly the score that you picked. You picked 1-1. Again, that's a Brentford game that you've predicted absolutely nailed on.
I know what you're thinking, Andrew, and yes, next week people will be able to tune into the Brentford Breakdown podcast.
I mean, it's basically on the cards. Do you know something? I've absolutely missed something. Because in the Brentford-Leicester game, you absolutely had Maddison down to score, didn't you? I'm remembering back to how many points I had to write down for you for this week. I'm like, that's something that doesn't add up. Oh yeah, there's a point there that I missed out. Would you like to tell the people who scored each of those goals?
I will, Andrew. The goal for Swansea was scored by one-time Middlesbrough Linky, I suppose, as a loan signing, Conor Hourihane. And Brentford's goal was scored by Tariq Fosu-Henry.
Indeed. Do you know what's interesting about those names? Absolutely not written down in this.
I was going to say neither of them appear in the book.
No. But a correct score from you, Mr. Williams, is 2 juicy points. So, 4 games predicted. A possible, to work out the possible points would take a very long time. But what I can tell you is, Mr. Williams, you got 3 juicy points for the Brentford-Leicester game. And you got 2 fantastic points for the Swansea-Brentford game. Giving you a total of 5 points for the week. Ladies and gentlemen, did he win the week, though? Did he win? Are you following along? Are you adding it up? Have you got a calculator? Because I got nothing for the first, nothing for the... Oh, that's right, yeah, I got no point, not a single point this week. 4 games! 4 games. At this point in time, I'd like to encourage everybody to go and listen to the Getting Over podcast, because apparently wrestling's my bag, let's put it that way. Anyway, that's last week, and nobody cares about last week. Last week's done. We don't care about it anymore. Nobody's bothered. Who won the week? Who knows? Let's move on very quickly. As we do, we like to talk Middlesbrough football. I say like to talk Middlesbrough football. I'm putting them on blast this week. I'm putting them. It's probably a final written warning kind of situation. Norwich City versus Middlesbrough will be the last chance saloon for Middlesbrough with this man here. I seem to remember Nottingham Forest going through a similar. Did Nottingham Forest lose 5-1 the other day? Yeah, that made me chuckle.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
That made me chuckle a lot. So Norwich City versus Middlesbrough. As is the way. I will say to you, I have already made a pick. You might be able to guess what it is from what I've said, but I'll give you the opportunity to go first or second with it being your team.
I will go first, as obviously that will allow the book to be updated in full. Now, I've obviously preloaded Sky Bet to get the odds and things like that looked up. And I've just seen an interesting stat in that the last 5 meetings between these two sides have finished
0-0.
1-0 to Norwich. That run's got to end sometime.
That has. Absolutely has.
This weekend will be that weekend, as Norwich will win 2-0 against the Borough.
Oh. Okay, well, yeah, why not? Who do you think will score those goals?
I would like to put down Hugo.
Absolutely.
And Buendia.
Okay. Well, apparently we like to mix things up, and like I was saying before, it's last chance saloon for it's high noon for Middlesbrough here. I'm giving them a 1-0 win. They're going to turn the tables on Norwich City this time out, and Britt will put that one in the back of the net. So, did I mention earlier that it wouldn't be a podcast if we weren't talking Brentford football? It's funny that, because the game that the other game we're predicting right now is I'm starting to think we might need a new name. The Riverside Bees. Brentford versus Wycombe Wanderers. Old two dubs. I've already written a prediction in the book, but I don't want you to feel swayed in any way. So, do you want to go first or second?
I might as well go first again, just to get it out of the way.
Do it.
So you can get it in that book, get it all written down, and commit it to memory. Big spanking, I think, for me. Big spanking. I've gone for Brentford to win 4-0.
He's throwing out another 4-0. I mean, to be fair, they've been on a bit of a... Well, I mean, they had quite a crushing defeat against Leicester, but, they had a draw. Yeah, let's move on. Okay. That's a lot of scorers unless one person called Tony is going to score all of them.
Tony will get 2.
Sort of. Yeah. Tony. Got to be one of my favourites. I just think it's like when you've got Fosu Henry to compete with. Tony.
So Tony will get 2. Brian Mbuemo will get 1.
I'm sorry, what?
Mbuemo. Mbeumo.
Okay.
The 4th goal will be scored by Sergi Canos.
Okay, now I like what you've done there, because I've gone with 2-0 to Brentford, and Tony's going to score one of them. Canos is going to score the other one. So yeah, we are on similar pages.
Interesting.
Are there any?
Some odds on there.
Hmm?
Shall I give you some odds?
Oh yes, please. I've got space and everything.
So, your double of Middlesbrough 1-0 at 11-1 and Brentford 2-0 at 11-2 gives you a spectacular double of 77-1.
I like it.
Whereas I have chosen So I've chosen 2-0 Norwich at 15-2, 4-0 Brentford at 14-1, giving me a double of 126.5-1.
I like it. It's a good number. Now then, are there any other games that we need to predict at this point in time?
There is no scheduled midweek matches.
That's what I thought, because as I said to you earlier, I was like, I got so far and like the weeks ran out. I was like, where are all the games gone? But concise. As the sound of the clicking pen denotes, that is the end of the predictions segment. As always, if you listeners or watchers want to challenge either myself or, more importantly, Mr. Williams, if there's a Brentford game in there, I'd be getting your house on whatever Paul's put down. In fact, while you were looking it up, I actually did just put the house on your prediction for that. So, last week's in the books. The prediction is actually physically in the book, which brings us swiftly on to what some in the business would call any other business. Do you have anything else, sir?
Yeah, it sort of relates to the actual Borough games, to be fair. So,
oh, you did say you had something. Yes, sorry.
So in the game on Sunday against Blackburn, very much different to how they'd started the game against Birmingham the week prior. They actually started quite up tempo. They were at it straight away. They were pressing. They were putting Blackburn on the back foot. And then this happened. That was me. There was a ball played into the back post. Dale Fry went up for a header. and he managed to get caught in the face
by an
errant boot by the Blackburn defender Jared Branthwaite, and this was the upshot.
Oof. Is that stitches?
That's stitches.
Oh, I don't like those headers, like where everybody's close in and like everything's in the box and stuff. It's just a recipe for concussions, people getting knocked out, people losing limbs and teeth and all sorts. But it's just well, hopefully he's feeling somewhat better at this point in time, nearly a week down the line, and hopefully makes a speedy recovery. I hate stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
the upshot of it was that obviously he had to go off injured as he'd almost lost an eyeball. However, even though the occurrence took place in the penalty area, the referee did not give a penalty, even though the player's gone off with basically his face bleeding, and you could see that there was a high foot from the defender. So it just sparked the conversation of, like, if that occurs anywhere else on the pitch, it's an automatic free kick and probably a sending off for the player with the high foot, for the dangerous play. So, yeah.
Roughing the passer, 5-yard penalty, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's, I mean,
basically.
That's poor reffing, really. So, I have some other business. And it's actual business. It's like, I need to put a shirt, a tie, jacket, pocket square. So, I'm throwing this over the airwaves to you, and in between me and you, there's all these lovely people that are watching and listening and talking. Back in the day, and this was something I was looking for the scores on my phone, which I would normally use iPad or other things. And I was scrolling through all of the multitude of open web pages that I have on my phone. And I scrolled past one and I was like, how can we incorporate that? So back in the day, many moons ago, there used to be this thing called a quiz, where Mr. Williams would, in a superhero world, there's that bit in that Avengers film where Hulkbuster's just punching Hulk in the face repeatedly, just non-stop. It was a lot like that to somebody else. So I was like, we need like a quiz system. We need like a one-man quiz. Because, I mean, what, you and me do a quiz. It's like, it's going to be that bit from Family Guy, isn't it? What colour is a red fire engine? I want to say who? I want to say what? But I was like, is there a way that we can do a beat the jock? Is there a way that we can get people to send us, like, insanely difficult football-related questions and see if somebody can beat the jock? So, as it stands at this point in time, I will attempt to go out into the world and find the hardest football questions known to humankind, and then, be proven wrong on that front. But I'd like to open this up to the floor. I'd like to say, if anybody out there wants to send an email, a social media post, a tweet, anything that just says, next time you're on, ask Mr. Williams this and see if he knows, then the door's open. The communication door is open. We are open for business. So, in future, if you want to beat the jock, let us know. And until then, I'll attempt to find the deepest, darkest depths of the football knowledge. I'll go onto the football black market and get some I don't know, some football rocket launchers. Who knows? Do you have anything else, sir?
No, that is it, Andrew. I have no further movement.
There we go then. Well, it's been an absolute roller coaster ride. I'm sure you'll agree. So until next time, I must thank you for joining me, taking these wonderful people through the muddy, sometimes murky waters of the football world. And until next time, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.
Au revoir.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Can you help? Can you find us some amazing questions about football that you think Paul might not know the answer to? Don't forget, he's a very knowledgeable man, so you'll have to go deep. Yeah. YouTube watchers, do subscribe and then tell a friend to do the same. Audio listeners, you can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever it is you get your podcasts from. So there we go. That's it for this one. Look forward to hearing from you soon with your questions for Mr. Williams. But until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.